What's up, my YouTube friends? Welcome to another episode of Community Critique. My name is Pi, and this week we are featuring Jason Vinson along with his wife. Well, we actually just have Jason today, but hopefully in the future we'll have Chasney as well. But you can find Jason and Chasney's work online at Vinson Images. On Instagram, it's Vinson Images as their primary, or _ Jason for Jason's Instagram as well. Jason, welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, everyone?
That was a beautiful delay. I like that. It was like the newscaster delay. So this week on our critique, we are focusing on creative wedding portraits. And this is one of those areas that Jason is a master of. Well, Jason's a master of all sorts of things photography. But I love your eye, Jason. And so that's why I thought it'd be really fun to kind of make this week all about creative portraiture. And we have a couple announcements, which we'll talk about a little more at the end of the episode. But just as a quick little teaser, you have a workshop coming up with Jay Casario, which we do want to plug. We're going to include the link, and we're going to talk about it a little bit after this episode. Also, we have a new wedding community that we are launching, and Jason is actually our ambassador. That's the community leader for that entire group. He's going to be basically, well, carrying on a weekly conversation that follows our instructional content to get people to the place where, well, you can create incredible images and also even go for certification. So we have that. We'll talk about that a little bit in just a little bit. So let's dive into these images, shall we, Jason?
Let's do it.
Starting with our first one from Aditya Dharmawan of Dharmawan's Pictures and Motions. I really just want to hear you, brother. Let's hear you talk about this image. Why don't you get it started off? Okay, just as a heads up, by the way, for our rating system. So we're going to go and we're going to basically give it a rating on the count of 3. And that rating is kind of where you see this image. Now, 1 is basically just an image that has kind of no forethought. It's just a straight shot from a phone, whatever it is. So we're going to give out very few of those. A 5 is kind of what a typical professional photographer would do in this situation. Anything above a 5 is going beyond that, okay? And then getting up to a 10, that's like no changes whatsoever. This is award-winning. This is incredible. This is perfect. You have anywhere in between. All right, so you ready? You got a number?
Yeah.
I got a number.
I got a number.
Okay, 3, 2. Oh, man, you delayed. 6. I gave it a 7. We're pretty close on that. Let's hear you, brother. What you giving a 6 for?
Okay. If I was a 6, I'd probably lean closer to a 7. I love the complementary colors here. We got orange and blue. I love that they used the blue kicker light to kind of rim them. I love that his jacket is also orange, and so that kind of ties in with the bokeh that we have here. My only critique here would be that the pose doesn't really necessarily match this kind of like dramatic overhead bokeh thing that we have going on. Mm-hmm. And then also, I'm pretty sure the bokeh is put in using Photoshop, and there's some weird brushing, I think, that's happening over here on the left of the image where the bokeh kind of falls off unnaturally on the bottom of it.
Yeah, kind of. I'm pointing it out on the left side a little bit.
Yeah, and then also
there's some oddity over here too.
Right-hand corner, it's kind of unnaturally black right there.
Yeah.
And so those 2 points kind of just draw my eye away from what's going on with the rest of the scene.
Yeah, and if I use the highlight and clipping alert, like, it's kind of interesting because we see a lot of that area just dropping to complete black. But yeah, okay. So I feel like this is a fantastic image. The main thing for me, and I don't know if this bugs you, is I do feel like it's a little bit oversaturated, like especially in the skin tone. So I kind of want to grab that HSL, and I might even do it on my side, is just grab the HSL and kind of tug it down a little bit, really over the oranges, and not killing it completely. So I just kind of lowered it just a little bit. But I do agree with you also about the pose. Is it's such a kind of cool and high energy type of image, but then what the couple is doing is very like kind of just kind of sitting there.
It's like somber, quiet moment type thing.
Yeah.
And you have this like dramatic lighting and stuff like that. Yeah.
Where like if they were dancing, or if he was lifting her, or if there was some energy in the shot, I think it would be that would kick it up for me for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I like this. I like our selection for you as our community leader so far. We'll find out by the end of this episode, but right now,
So far I passed.
so far so good. We have another one, Aditya Dharmawan. We're gonna go, by the way, roughly 2 to 3 minutes per image, but let's go on to image number 2. So Aditya, you got 2 images in. We actually select them intentionally. These are just really great images, and we felt like they were worth showing and worth talking about. So, okay, I am. You ready for a number?
Yeah.
I'm so close on this one. Okay, here we go. 3, 2. Oh, did you give it a 9 too?
Yeah.
9 and 9. This is an amazing image. Jason, tell us why you're loving it.
I just love the reflection's perfect. I can still see that they're kind of walking, and it looks like they're walking in the clouds, which I think is the general idea here. I love that they're framed inside of this like darker cloud and surrounded by the lighter clouds, but then there's still some darkness around the edges of the corners and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would change as far as editing goes is it looks like there's a spot of sensor dust in the top right-hand corner that I'd have to clone out.
Yep. That's exactly what I was looking at too.
And then in the bottom left, it's not sensor dust. It's just a reflection of the cloud, but it's just kind of drawing my eye. Just this, like the dot to the right of that arrow, actually.
Oh.
That dot, yep.
Oh, you can still see my screen.
Yep.
Oh, how wonderful is that? That works, doesn't it, Carlo? That works. That's solid. No, I agree with you. I was thinking you were going to mention this. This is the other spot. So that spot draws my eye a little bit. This little spot right here. But this whole section just feels a little bit odd to me. The way that the reflection is kind of showing up. I don't know why, and honestly, it doesn't really make or break the image for me. It just does draw a little bit of attention, but definitely the spots need to go. The only other thing that I would have wanted to give this like a 10 would just be a slightly more in-action pose that really lended itself to this silhouette. I love that you can see their full silhouettes, and I love that they're walking and everything like that. But I kind of feel like, again, it's one of those moments where I would have loved to see something high action, like running through the clouds, or like twirling, or something a little bit more energy. But either way,
I'd
it's
love to see the exact same pose, but them like mid jump so that you could see their feet.
Yeah, wouldn't that be rad? Like,
yeah, but I love that there's separation there. I can see both their heads, their hands are away from their bodies, so I can see their full arms. I can see their legs that they're walking and stuff. But yeah, even if they just did like a little hop to make it look like they were running, but still have that separation in their feet, I think it would kick it up a notch.
100%. Really great job, though. This is a fantastic image. That's one of our highest rated images, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Adrian Ong, let's make a memory. Let's make a critique, man. Let's do this. All right. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2. I can't tell if there's a delay, like you're waiting for me to show you my number and then you're showing me your number, or if that's just the delay from the audio. But either way.
I think there's a slight delay, like in my video. I didn't actually see what you voted.
I gave it a 5. You gave it a 6. Why don't you start this off?
I gave it a 6. Okay. I love that they're centered. The framing is very symmetrical.
Yeah, he has.
The only thing I'm not too big on are those bright yellow lights above the windows. There's not really much you can do that unless you're good with photoshopping that out. I don't think it's.
You mean the exit signs? Are those exit signs?
Oh, are they exit signs? Yeah.
They look like exit signs.
I didn't know if they were just like lighting from the venue or something like that, because they look orange to me instead of red. And then their pose just seems unnatural. Like she's got that like stiff arm flower hold, like hold your flowers down, and so she's got this like stiff arm with her flowers sticking off to the side.
I agree. Something a little more relaxed would be nice.
Yeah, and then just I don't like how that column from the windows going directly in between them. Like if they almost just took a small step apart away from each other, I
This
know
one
we
right
always
here.
say like get your couples close, but in this situation, it would almost be better to have them take a small step apart so that they're building those windows.
Yeah, the background kind of lends itself to pulling them apart just a little bit, doesn't it?
Yep.
So my thought here is that, and I do feel like a 6 might be a more, you're swaying me here, because I do feel like a 6 might be a little more apt of a rating for this. It is, in my mind, maybe a step above what a typical professional would do. You're adding the light. This is, I actually know this room. This is at the Trump golf course, and it's called the Gold Room. So I like that it's designed as a symmetrical shot, and it's super symmetrical. I like that you're kicking in yellow light to kind of match the yellow room. All those things are really nice about it. And I think this is a must-have shot for the bride and groom. Anybody that gets married in this spot, it's a must-have. I just feel like it's a little bit standard. Like as a creative portrait, it's missing a little bit for me in terms of like foreground elements that could add interest, maybe cover up some of the carpet. Like to me, it's just a lot of carpet and dark dance floor. We don't have anything in the foreground that's kind of adding layering and adding extra interest into it. I agree 100% with the pose and everything that you said. And I almost feel like this room is really about that ceiling, so why not kind of make it about the ceiling and kind of shoot bottom up, and kind of create something a little more interesting there. But that's really my thought.
There's definitely more room for creativity as far as incorporating the ceiling and less of the floor. I agree. Then you run into issues of where they're going to be framed at, because then you have chandeliers and stuff like that to deal with. But I think that could almost add a little bit more interest to the shot, depending on how you did it.
Yeah. Okay. Who we got? Alberto Medina. I do photography. Okay, and I'm a little stuck on this one. Okay. I think I got a number in mind.
Okay, what do we say? So 5 is what a typical professional would do.
Yeah, so it's not like a lot of people think 5 is average, and I want 5 to be like, this is what we would expect from our peers type thing.
Yeah.
But we're not. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2. I'm gonna go 5. I'm kind of with you on the 4-ish. Because we're going for something symmetrical, but we didn't even quite get it symmetrical. That's my first like.
Yeah, that's the thing that that really makes me go lower than a 5. The lighting's good. The idea is good to have it symmetrical. The crosses on the side and then the crosses in the background and stuff. But you have a shot. It's set up. You had time to light it, so you have plenty of time to set up your composition and really get those doors symmetrical. And I know what happened is, or what I'm guessing happened is, they got them set up, the light set up, you got behind the doors, got it lined up, and it was like almost there. And to get it symmetrical, you'd have to take a step to the left, and so they'd have to take a step to the right, and there'd be a lot more fine tuning to do it.
Yeah.
And so they just went with what was already set up, probably.
Yeah, and that's one of those cases where it's always slow down a little bit, take that extra moment to get things kind of dialed in. What do you feel like? Because I feel like there's so much potential here, though, that is unexplored right now. What would be like your instinct to how would you light this Jason Vinson style? Because I see this as being something very close to something you would do. Not like in the execution, but like something you might look for, the foreground elements, the telling of the story. Now how would you light it?
Every time I see opaque glass like that, I think about what it would look like to have light go through that opaque glass. So right off bat, I would have a light fire into those 2 doors to light up those glass windows. I would draw
Interesting.
my ambient exposure way down.
So light to kind of come forward.
Them to turn them into like a rimlet silhouette where the light's bouncing back into maybe just her face.
I like that. Yeah. I was thinking of something similar where you kind of darken everything down. I like the idea of adding that light through those glasses, but putting a light behind them, darkening everything down, and making it kind of glow on the inside, and having them standing underneath that would have been really cool.
Yep.
I love that. Jurassic Park, baby. Amber Henry of Amber Henry Photography.
This image cracks me up. The only thing it's missing is like the Velociraptor coming in from behind.
I never thought I would be saying this, but you need to Photoshop a dinosaur into this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you got a number?
Oh man, this one's hard for me.
I'm gonna base it on what it's intended to be, because obviously this is not intended to be like something natural and like in the moment type. This is a shot that's specifically for the couple who loves Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll have a number.
All right. Okay. 3, 2. I'm gonna go between a 7 and an 8.
Okay. I was gonna say 7.
Yeah. And honestly, my main thing, like as a stylized image, I love this, and there's gonna be clients that ask for this type of stuff. It's not necessarily what I would do to go out and like, I'm not gonna go and suggest this kind of stuff when it's not like, that's what a client is not in love with Star Wars and in love with Jurassic Park. But for me, I'm totally missing the context of like, what is he screaming about and what is she looking at? And it's like, I want to see the dinosaurs. Like, you took it this far.
Yeah.
Let's see the dinosaurs.
There's got to be a dinosaur in there.
So
you went this far with the stylized portion of it that you can throw a little T-Rex in there.
is that an angry bird or is it a T-Rex? Wait, hold on. He's got little arms. I'm assuming your Photoshop skills will be slightly better than my Lightroom drawings.
It kind of just looks like a penguin with weird feathers. There we go.
Maybe like a velociraptor coming up from the bottom right here. That looks like an alligator, actually. Oh, I got a good alligator going now.
It's got to be the dinosaur with the frills.
You just want to see me draw stuff right now.
There we go.
Okay. But don't you love the lighting on this? I mean, the creative use of gels. Like, you got that orange on the left side.
The complementary colors. You got orange coming in, you got blue coming in, but then they're still lit by some daylight balanced light. The fog is good. The only thing I would change is maybe the way the dress is thrown. It just looks thrown.
Yeah, it does.
So if you could just get it a couple seconds later or a couple seconds earlier to where it just looks windblown instead of tossed in the air.
It's really this awkward straightness of it, that like you can almost just warp that just where it kind of comes down and has a nicer.
Yeah, for sure.
But very cool, very interesting stylized image. Great job, Amber.
Yeah.
Amy Mello Panucci. Love Sunday photo. Okay. This is cool. I like that everyone else's heads are covered by the smoke.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. Got a number?
I got a number. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. 3, 2. You got an 8? I got an 8 too.
Yeah.
Community leader right here.
We're on pace.
This guy. All right. What are the dings? Because it's obviously a really nice image, but where do you feel like it's losing a little bit?
If it were me, the first thing I would do is I would burn down all of these background highlights that aren't people and smoke. So yeah, those trees, you've got like, it looks like a bench back here. Yeah, all of that stuff. And then even the grass. Yeah.
Okay.
To me, that would take it up at least a notch or two even.
I agree. I feel like they're just a little bit of distractions.
As far as what's that?
I agree with you. I think they're a little bit distracting.
Yeah. The only other thing that I'd love to see is for the smoke to not just trail off out of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
So that highlight just kind of leads me straight to the edge of the frame, and it doesn't end. So if it was either, you'd almost burn it down so that edge was black, it'd be hard to get it to look natural. But if you were to just like take a couple steps back when you took the shot so that you could see where that smoke ended.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit better for me, I think, so that it was just a more just clean composition as far as edges go.
And this is a tough one, right? Because you're trying to get not only their expressions, but then the smoke and the wind to blow quite right, So one of my favorite things to do in a case like this, that's not TRPOD, it's TRIPOD, but is to put it on a tripod and then to shoot that sequence. So basically you have a sequence of the smoke moving, and if you don't like the smoke on one side, you basically just grab one of the different images and just basically Photoshop and plate it out. Makes it a lot easier to get kind of the perfect movement without having them to do it, like a million times.
Absolutely. But then you're photoshopping in an image, which I don't like to do, but
What's your problem with a little bit of Photoshop, bro?
But that's definitely an option.
For those that can't do it in camera, that's definitely that's the nice way of what he's saying right now. It's cool, bro. I ain't got no pride.
It's not necessarily can do it. It's just have the time to do it in camera.
Okay.
The hard part is it would be get everybody covered in smoke and him not in smoke. Like, I feel like him not being in smoke and them being covered up is better than to have the clean edges of the composition. I'd much rather have this than like one person out of smoke, one person in smoke, and then have clean edges, if that makes sense. If you had to choose between the two.
For sure. And I'm curious whether they knew, because there's basically a very specific lighting setup that'll yield this result. And that's having the flash almost directly behind him, or slightly, as you can see, it's slightly off to the right. But what that does is, because he casts a shadow over his own face, everybody else, you can see that the light would basically bleed through the cracks. And if there's smoke in front of anyone else's face, that smoke lights up with the light that hits it. Whereas there's still smoke in front of his face right now, but it's not lighting up because the shadow is actually being cast from the back of his head going forward. So I think it's cool. It's definitely a very cool use of lighting. And I would agree. I would love to do it, in camera. I'm one of those that like wants to balance is this more difficult to do in camera, or is it easier to do in post? Okay, let's go on to
That's the fun part.
that is okay. Okay. Kevin McCormack, Fox and Fellow Photography. This is cool. I like the shapes of this. All right. You got something in mind?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2. I'm at a 6.
I'm at a 5.
Gosh, I love the intention behind this, but why don't you go first?
Yeah, the framing's good. I love the blue with the kind of orangish natural light underneath it. What kills me is the pose.
Yeah.
It almost looks like they're a second shooter and they're shooting while someone else is taking portraits on the stairs.
Yeah.
What I would love to see, since you're shooting it up from such a high angle, I would love to see them lay down where they're at right now, so that you could actually see their faces and see their body, and then have them kind of interact on that little stair platform area.
Yeah. No, I agree 100% that their pose is kind of ruining it for me. It's a very stage and kind of standard pose, but the other side of that pose too is where they're placed, they just kind of fall. That was a freaking loud plane. What was that? Man, that was ginormous. Okay, the other side of this was like, I see a face and then just blackness around them. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Like, I feel like they need one other light that's kind of coming down in the background. If they're going to post-produce it so dark, they need a rim light that's hitting them that can kind of chisel them out a little bit. And then I agree, we need a pose that doesn't feel like we're shooting on someone else's moment or shot, but that it's like a stolen moment, that from that angle. The only other thing, too, is I would knock out this one line right here. That one line bugs me.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool concept. I like.
Another thing that could be cool, too, is if you just gridded them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your light how it is right now, but then grid them so that they're naturally lit, but then have the light that's hitting the stairs be more orange, so you get more play on that orange and blue, but they're still naturally lit as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Michael Batista of Batista Photography. This is a nice shot.
Yeah.
Okay. We got some good images in this one. All right, you ready?
Yep.
I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. 3, 2. You got a 7. I got an 8. Oh, I'm glad
or
I didn't go
7.
9, man. You would have been like judging me all over the place. All right, what you got?
I love like the stylization of the image. The sun flare just looks a little fake to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a huge fan of the pose. Again, it's very dramatic. But then you have like the sweet moment of him kissing her on the cheek or on the temple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sun flare is clearly something that they added in post, but I feel like most clients are not gonna be aware of that, and it looks nice. But I would agree that like if you're gonna add it, it should probably be a little more convincing. Um,
Yeah, and what kills it is that they don't have a rim light.
yeah, exactly.
It's not that it looks too fake coming out of the mountains. They just don't have anything on them to sell it.
Yeah, the background as well. Like there's nothing in the background that would indicate that the light's coming from that spot. Um, I love the way that they've pulled the veil up and down into the corners, and it kind of like leads your eye right up into the shot. I don't like the way that her eyes lead me straight back out of the shot, though.
Yeah, for the pose of him kissing her on the temple, it'd almost be nicer to have her kind of like looking down towards him a little bit,
I agree.
and then that still has a little bit more drama to it, but it has them interacting with each other instead of him interacting with her and her just kind of looking off in the distance.
We talk about this, in the courses that you're going to be talking about. That the eye lines need to cross over each other.
Absolutely.
Man, thumbs up to Jason Vinson right here. All right, no, I agree with you 100%. What about the pose though? You mentioned like it wouldn't necessarily be the pose that you might put them into for a shot like this. What might you do differently versus the kissing on the temple?
I don't know. Well, so to go against what you just said, where their eye lines interact, for something like this that was dramatic, I'd almost have him look off the other direction, and so they're like with each other, but they're kind of looking off in opposite directions.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of that when it comes to like this like stylized, dramatic setup.
No, I like that look a lot too. It creates a very different look and feel. And for me, the reason why, like, I'm not opposed to people looking the other way, and the way that we kind of like talk about it is when you want to create up a shot when you want to create the look and feel of a shot that's very dramatic and where it's kind of very bold and strong, you would do something like that where the couple are looking in different directions. When you're doing something very soft and sweet like this, it doesn't make sense for one person to have such a strong looking out look. It just looks like they're not interested in that person, as opposed to like, because he's kissing her. But if he were looking out too, that'd be rad. It would look really cool, like both of them kind of looking out in different directions, like towards what's coming up and in front of them. But with such a soft and sweet look on his face and her looking out, I would say for this specific shot, looking in. But I do love the lighting and the balance and the post. I think they did a really great job on this.
Absolutely.
Now this one's super interesting. This is from Orlando Suarez of Viridian Images Photography. I love the concept here, but I'm gonna rely on you to tell me why I don't feel like it's working. But let's go ahead and give it a number.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay. I'm a step above what a professional would do here in terms of like they're looking for unique lighting patterns and they're trying to pull off something that's interesting. But
Yeah.
tell me why it's not working.
For the first thing that stands out are her eyes.
Yeah, that was what I was looking at.
She's almost like mid blink.
And she's looking into the camera with that odd lighting on the face, and I always feel like that's a no-no if you're gonna put.
Yeah, and then when I almost wish that she was looking the other way. So like again, this kind of goes back to the other one where it's a sweet moment, but we have this super hard dramatic lighting, so it almost made more sense to have a more dramatic pose. So for her to look the other way, then at that point, then she's going to be short lit by this cool, interesting lighting, so it's not going to look so awkward on her face.
I agree. We need
And for him to look towards her would still add to the drama, but then you actually get to see his face instead of this like super harsh angle looking down on his face.
I agree 100%. A dramatic light needs a dramatic pose. Like, it's that this is almost a portrait, but yet the light pattern is so cool and dramatic and interesting. But it's a portrait, it's a portrait pose and shot. But man, this could be so cool. Like, this is one of those.
Really cool.
So I think that's really great guidance on this. Putting them, like, I could totally see a shot like this where she was looking down and towards this other side, and you're using her to basically like frame him in the background, like as he's looking in a different direction with like the light on his face. Like, so you're using the shapes and everything to kind of frame the other person and kind of layer them. Oh, so much potential in this, and I love where you're going with it. I think next time you get a shot at this, you're going to really create something killer.
Yep. The last thing is just cutting off the hands with the bottom of the frame.
Oh yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah, if I were to go in, I would probably like punch it in where it's something closer, using their bodies. But yeah, definitely on the hands. Oops. All right, Ryan Littlefield of Ryan.
I'd almost take a step back.
Dang it, man. What? You take a step back?
I was just saying, I'd almost rather take a step back and then frame them in that right thirds.
Yeah. We need to do a challenge with you, and have you come in and destroy me. Okay.
Let me know when and where.
Rain Littlefield of. Oh, I'm not sure if it's Ryan Littlefield of Ryan Littlefield Imagery or Rain, but Ryan. Really nice shot here. All right, you got a number?
Yeah.
Okay. 3.
No.
No.
Okay, yeah.
3, 2. You're a 6. I'm at a 7. Clearly, your standards are just a little bit higher than mine. Go. Tell me what you got.
I love the lighting. I love the colors. I wish I could see the sky a little bit more, just to give me more edge on that building.
Yeah.
And then going back to what we were saying earlier, just they need to. If the composition's centered, then they need to be centered. You had time to set it all up. You had time to get everybody lined up. We just need to get them centered in that doorway. His head's just along the edge of that door. So they almost need to take a step backwards towards the door so that they can both be completely framed in the door, and then make sure that they're centered in it.
Yeah, they need to be. They're not quite in the middle. They just need to go over a little bit. And I agree. They're kind of too close to this edge. Need to step back a little bit more. Like, do you feel like there's some funny business going on? That's what Lee says. That's his word for. The lighting in the back kind of just looks a little bit off. Like this purple light edge, it feels like that's almost too perfect of a line. And then the blue, and then the orange. It looks unnatural to me.
What it is I think it's a 3 light setup.
Interesting.
So what you have is you have one flash firing at the door to light it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, I think, in between the door and this, the darker part of the frame, there's like a nook or a cranny in there. So you have a blue flash on one side firing out, and then a magenta flash on the other side firing out.
Interesting. Do you like it? It feels unnatural to me.
For something like this that's stylized, I like it. I wish the colors were a little bit more complementary, because I don't think magenta, blue, and orange necessarily go well together.
Yeah. That's my main issue with it, is that
I don't dislike it.
Yeah. No, that's the main issue.
You could see how the light's hitting. I don't know if this is like railing or something off to the sides.
Mm-hmm. On this side.
I wish that was brightened up a little bit, just so you could see those colors a little bit more, and that would help tie everything together a little bit more, because there'd be more of those colors in the frame.
Yeah. No, I agree. And for me, everything's just a little bit too dark, including I would love just to see more of that sky. It looks so beautiful. That really would have drawn out that edge, like you said earlier. But I'm a big kind of proponent of making sure that when you're adding gels and you're coloring, that you keep in mind the color schema of like the natural kind of colors in the shot. And you have naturally blue and you have naturally orange, and to throw magenta in there for me is would be a no-no, but
Yeah, it's hard because blue and magenta do go well together, but I don't know if blue and magenta go well with a darker blue and then an orange. So you almost have two different sets of complementary colors together.
yeah, okay.
And then I'd also get in here and kind of try and Photoshop out the hot spots from these two side lights, and then it looks like there's like she almost has like wings growing out of her back from the door window.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like this is one of those shots where I would use a phone or a prism or something against the bottom of the frame? Because I feel like there's not really a lot of stuff going on down there. I would opt for something, more interesting. Maybe throw up a reflection against it, or maybe block it out, create some sort of like interesting element there.
Absolutely. I think it would be cool because the color of the sky is so great, I would almost just reflect just sky instead of like, traditionally I think you would reflect like them and the top of the building in this, so it was like a mirrored image, but if you just reflected just the sky underneath, I think that'd look cool too. I
agree. Especially if it were bright enough. Okay, Safraz Khan, awesome photography. Cool name for a business. He does awesome photography.
Awesome photography, I like that.
Okay. It is awesome. It's a good shot. Okay. I'm very curious to see what you think about this one. You got a number?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm putting it. Let's go 3, 2, and I'm going 6. All right. We're on the same page, brother. Why do you feel like it's a 6?
I think that it's just, I don't know. I don't think the lighting and then the reflection match each other.
Uh-huh. I'll tell you what I think. The first step that would...
Glamour lit, but then...
Do you feel differently about it now?
I like that a little bit better.
If this just had like a little bit more pop to it, I feel like you get a very different image. It almost feels like this was a little bit low res and punched in though. We're getting a lot of like kind of artifacting and stuff in the image, but I do kind of agree with you. It feels, you know how you have some images that are like they're kind of using reflective elements and you kind of create these kind of cool interesting pieces and they feel like it's stylized and it's interesting. Here it feels like one of those bad glamour shots.
Yeah, to me it almost like you lose the creativity aspect of it, but to me I think it's a better image without the reflections. Like she's got a very nice smile, it's nicely lit. I kind of like the background.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of has like a cool texture or pattern to it, or I don't know what it is back there, that maybe like some wall art or something, but to me I think that the reflections don't add anything to it, and in this case I think it almost takes away from just a nice classic portrait.
So what would you have done to make this a creative portrait?
More dramatic lighting, so pull that light almost behind her so that she's short lit, and then get her to turn so she's like this right now, and get her to turn just a little bit more so you can see more of her profile, and then try and get those reflections separated a little bit more so that they're not three faces melding together, but they're just kind of her and then these kind of reflections off to the side.
That would be, I think that would be awesome. That separation is what's key there, getting those away. Okay, I love it.
Have like an earring growing out of her nose, or
yeah. Okay. Sean Reefman of SR Photography. This is a cute shot. Man, again, one of those shots where I'm like, so much potential.
Yeah.
I feel like I know how Jason would have lit and shot this image from following your work. Should I guess?
You can. Do we want to rate it first?
Let's rate it. Okay. 3, 2,
okay.
7. All right. See, if this was...
I didn't see.
I gave it a 7 too. We matched up on this. I think it's definitely, there's a lot of forethought in terms of like what they're shooting, the background, the posing, everything like that, the placement of them. If this were you, I would imagine that you'd want to pin light them. So basically, all you see is kind of the outlines of like the piggies around them, and all the black junk kind of drops away, and the couple's kind of highlighted in the middle, and then something. The only thing that's killing me with this photograph is just his expression. Like, she's all about this, and he's like not having it, or looking at something else, or he's just not into it. But that's what's killing it for me. Did I get your setup right?
We do. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
All right, I got it.
And to me, I can't tell if these piggies are neon lights or if it's graffiti that he's edited to look neon.
I want to say
It
it's
looks like
graffiti.
that he's
Yeah.
just edited.
Yeah, I agree that it's graffiti, and there is an awkward crop right here at the bottom. No, I think it's graffiti, for sure.
Yeah, so if you're going to edit the graffiti that much, then I would edit out the graffiti that's directly behind them.
Mm-hmm. This
Maybe.
junk. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, his pose is like, so we do this pose with our couples where it's very similar. We just have the groom or the guy whisper their favorite Mexican dish in their sexiest voice. And it always gets a big laugh out of both of them, but this is just a little too soon where she's really laughing and he's still in this like, I don't know why I'm doing this face.
For sure. I pulled the blacks a little bit to show, like, I mean, if you could just get the graffiti to stand a little bit more without the junk on the wall and Photoshop those things out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Is this our last? This is our last one. Wes Jordan of Wesley Leon Studios. Wes was bagging on me for my bald head when we were live. So I kind of feel like we should go hard on this. You get a 1. Okay, let's give it a rating.
Okay. Okay. You ready?
Yep. 3, 2. I think this is I gave it an 8. And I think this is the highest rated image that I've given of Wes's. So Wes, great job. This is a really nice image. But let's hear what you would do with it first. Because you gave it a 6, so that obviously means that you're just mean. I'm just kidding.
No, I love the lighting. Again, he has kind of like this little smirk on his face, and she looks a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the pose just isn't quite there. And then I don't like that I can still see the tree line. If you just got down a foot, maybe 2 feet, with the exact same thing, then you can get rid of that skyline. You just have what you intend to do is just have it look like they're just growing out of the sky kind of thing. But you can see that
section's odd for me.
Horizon line.
Yeah, I don't mind the trees as much as I do this one little piece over here. But I do agree that it could be a lot cleaner by just getting a little bit lower. And this is, again, one of those things that I almost feel like this looking off in the direction of the sunset's not really working for me, where if she were kind of like looking kind of down towards this side, you'd have that perfect like little light, that Rembrandt light right on the other side of her cheek. And if he were kind of looking down towards her side right here and like kind of holding her and like pulled into her, and then getting a little bit wider, lower, and showing more of this, like surrounding them with more sky. So it's almost like pushing the frame out to kind of surround them with more sky and to surround them with more objects and make this more of a negative space shot. And I would be close to a 9 or a 10 with those changes.
Yeah, I also like that if you got down lower, you would see more of them instead of almost cutting off at like that high waist.
Yeah.
You'd see a little bit more of their arms, so it's just a little bit more of them and then also more sky.
I agree. It's almost like you want the transition to start like right around here, like just kind of below the leg a little bit and then kind of fall off, as opposed to right now it's at their chests or almost at their shoulders when it starts to transition. So very awesome, dude. So now before we wrap up, let's talk about, you have a workshop coming up with Jake Osorio, a live workshop, right?
Yes.
So how does everybody learn more? We're going to obviously include the link, but what is this workshop about?
So it's going to be me, Jake Casario, and Bud Johnson, and it's going to be in Ithaca, New York, October 14th through the 16th. So 3 days. We have 2 sets of models that are going to be out there. We're going to be doing a bunch of live shoots. We're going to be doing a little bit of business talk. We're going to be doing album design and album sales and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of an all-encompassing type of workshop. It's going to be in New York in October. So where the place is at, there's going to be huge waterfalls. The fall colors are going to be coming in. So it's going to be awesome.
That's rad. So just for those that are watching right now, Jake Casario as well as Jason Vinson are both ambassadors for our education, which means that their live events are awesome. Like, if you can imagine being at one of these events and having them actually be able to critique as you're taking these shots, you can make these adjustments and create incredible images. Edit that part out. So you're going to be at these locations and you can actually have them over your shoulder giving you critique and advice, which is one of those things that's going to help you to transform your abilities as a photographer more than anything else. Because it's great to get online critique, but you have to wait till the next chance that you're shooting before you get to actually put those things into practice. This is a chance to learn from 3 amazing photographers, 2 of which are ambassadors of SR Lounge Education on site. So be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to join our wedding community. So now, for the entire wedding workshop series, we have a community. That community is free to join. It's going to guide through all the content. Those that are members can have a guided instruction through all the educational content. Those that are just free members of that group can not only learn from the ongoing conversation, but each week we're going to have tips and advice for y'all. And it's going to be led by Jason. I'm going to be in there as well. We have a lot of really great photographers in there. So join that group on Facebook. We're going to include the link for that below as well. That's it for this episode. Again, you guys can follow more of Jason's work at Vinson Images. My name is Pi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.